Bookworms. Everyone has an idea of what these are, right? Right? It was all very literal at first. So they are bugs that live in books and cause damage to them. So these bugs essentially feed on and destroy paper. Right? However, I reckon the first thing that came to your mind was your friend in school that always had a novel or textbook handy. I met one during a science competition, so we had to represent our states. So I was the only one from my school, and then there were two guys from another school that was really top. And one of them guys, can't forget his name, Daniel. Apparently, he read science textbooks for fun. I mean, title page to index. At that point, I must have acknowledged that malady was real. Malady was a real thing. Anyway, bookworms are a great way to continue our exposition on views. Not only is it wise and worthwhile to look up to learn, it's also important that one has their heads down too. It's key that per subject or muse, one adjusts their line of sight. You're welcome to the glide. Today we'll be exploring optometry and psychology. Okay, maybe not. I'll just share some stuff you probably already know. So, about this Daniel guy, I still find it pretty odd. Like, it's not a novel now. What are you doing reading periodic table? Well, for him it was fun, but I really do think it was odd. Because people were trying to pass exams and he was just having fun. And like him, I just can't forget the novel girls crew in every single high school. It seemed like boys had no business with books, well, typically, but there was always this group of, novel girls, I'd call them. I don't even know why to call them novel girls, because it seemed like all the girls used to read, so there's always this circulation of books. I don't know if I remember them names, but Diary of a Wimpy Kid, there's this woman, I never read them, I just need the titles. I just wanted to make sure, I was aware of what was going on. So I used to ask my friends, or my classmates. Danielle Steele was another person. I don't even know how great these authors are. I don't know how good it would be to read their books. So don't take this as me recommending them. I'm just trying to remember the authors that people used to read. But yeah, I can't relate because I never actually read. Although one time I did read a book. I think that was the first piece of art or literature or anything that I ever cried for. I stopped at the, preface, introduction. Like, after I cried, I just gave the guy back his book. I'm not in for that. But yeah, literally, like, these kinds of people used to be more rampant in the day. Like, now, even if people are bookworms, it's hard to tell. It's harder to tell because there's more people reading on their phones. Oh, well, bring back the books. Anyways, well, I'm more the Encarta guy. No one was Encarta kids, you just you view places that you probably never been to in your entire life with that thing. What a tool! Wow, what a tool! Like that's what I find interesting. Maybe you can attribute that to me being a visual learner, but I feel that's just giving fancy names to things that may not be a reality. But yeah, so the people, there's the group of people as well that love the Encarta. Oh my god, yeah. I don't know how many of us visited the Oval Office that year. Pretty neat. And then a step up from Encarta, Google Earth. Now that's me too. Let me tell you something. So there was one time I was talking to this person. I was dating this person that year, and we're not in the same place, right? So what we did was that they took me on a tour through the entire city. Their way to school, what their school looked like, classrooms. Well, not classrooms, I guess. Library, hotel, or let's say not accommodation or hotel. What point is, guy, we were on a virtual tour for hours. Screenshots, Google Earth, right? I think that's a proper date. I'm not even gonna lie. I won't lie, but it's just crazy how these things, books, tools like Encarta, Google Earth, you know, they condense the world in this very beautiful way. Essentially, being voracious condenses your world. You know, I reckon the world is only a global village for the ones that are exposed enough to see it that way. This brings to mind a very popular story, regardless of where you're at or where you've been or what you believe in, you might have heard of this story before. So, Jesus is somewhere in some desert fasting, and the text says that, one of the temptations of the devil was, he took him up to a mountain from where he showed him all the kingdoms of this world. Right. I think that is quite interesting because I wonder how pliable Jesus would have been to be dragged up and down here and there by the devil. But that's not the point. The point is, I learned, and by some great teacher, I promise he's awesome, but all that happened, the temptations, the responses, would have made more sense to have been in his mind. And I remember very beautifully how he pointed out that, well, we have that same technology now, that mountain from whence you can see all the kingdoms of the world. Maybe it's Google Earth, but yeah, it's the internet, And point is, regardless of how you want to see it or see the world, through books or Google Earth or Encarta, your mind tends to look at everything from the top. Well, there's a term for this. It's an angle of perspective. It's called bird's eye view. See? Told you knew it. Here, by looking down or into something, you get the big picture. Well, then, this kind of reminds me of Hawkeye. Avengers are who? But I really do like that guy. I feel like if I was ever going to be an Avenger, I would rather be Hawkeye. I don't have to stress your life. Probably don't need to learn hand-to-hand combat. You just find, a high-rise building, go to the rooftop, and because you can see everything, you just take out the boys. You take them out. Well, until somebody figures out that, all the arrows are coming from one particular place. But you can keep moving. And I really love this superpower. It's how he fights without technically fighting. How he can fight behind the shadows unseen. I mean, isn't that awesome? I don't want to be fast. Don't worry. I don't need to be Flash. I don't need to shoot webs. Just let me do my thing from the comfort of a rooftop, The world is prettier that way. But that's not the point. The point is, he's able to do all this because he sees what no one else sees. I like to call this Hawkeye view. I mean, this is being visionary. This is anticipating what is to come. It's like being a defensive midfielder. Here I am with football analogies. Okay, I'll explain. Do I need to explain? Why don't you watch football? Why? Anyways, football is played in thirds. Oh, I'm about to teach you pretty good. See, you will thank me for this. There is a group called the attackers, and then there's a group called the midfielders, and there's another group called the defenders. I'm hoping you knew this before now, so that because this is not profound. Like, this is just. Anyways, the beauty, the control, the maneuvering in football, a lot of the time, all has to do with the middle people, the midfield. And although, like, you might hear one or two of their names once in a while, you usually typically hear of the attackers, the ones that always score the goals. So, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Haaland. And if you don't know these people, I don't understand what's going on with you. But yeah, you probably Google them. But there's somebody that that works a bit differently from the others because he plays in the final 2/3, and he's popular. Lionel Messi. That's the reason why he's the greatest of all time. Yeah, go ahead, argue with your screen. You know, if you don't accept it, I'm sorry. This is not even about. This is not even. We're not proving it anymore. You get? It is known. But he does operate between the midfield and the attacker. So this is how it works. The defenders, obviously, as their name implies, they are there to defend. So although like football is changing, so now they have more than one role. They are defending. They are also supplying balls to attack teams. But typically, just like their name says, they are there to defend. The midfielders are there to, well, I could just say midfield, but I have to describe what that is because that is the crux of this discussion. Right? I'm trying to describe to you what a defensive midfielder is. Typically, the midfielders are the bridge between the defenders and the attackers. So they're the ones that feed the people that, can score goals. But even more than that, they also have the responsibility of reading what the other team is doing. So, so you have many types of midfielders. You have attacking midfielders. So obviously, these are the ones closest to the forwards. You have box-to-box midfielders. These ones have multiple roles. Like they go from, when they say box-to-box, basically where they're meant to be scoring, the opponent's box and then their box. Like, so they're in between there. Then you have the defensive midfielders I'm trying to talk to you about or use as an analogy. Now, these guys are the closest to the central defenders, So I feel these guys are superhumans. I feel that's why there are only, in my opinion, a handful of great defensive midfielders. I think they have to be able to slow down the game in their minds. They have to be able to see the whole pitch because their job, right, in attacking sense, is to get the ball from the defenders, lay it off to the attacking players that, have the skill and guile to, dribble and score. But besides that, another role of theirs is to break up the play. I don't know if this now makes sense to you. They are like the Hawkeye in the Avengers team, right? So they're just there somewhere on the pitch, roaming. Okay, if their team is with the ball, then their heads are always on a swivel. They just, man, I could give you some names, but I feel like I don't know if I'm talking to people that like football here. But Fernandinho, Busquets, oh my God, these guys. So you have midfielders, like central midfielders that have the same abilities, that do these things as well. But defensive midfielders are the ones that really do have defending the team shape on their minds. Rodrigo, Fabinho, although Fabinho might have become a scam, but these are the guys, right? And just like Hawkeye, yeah, I just feel those are the most important people on the pitch, right? These guys anticipate what is to come, And in other respects, let's move from football. These are the guys that rehearse what's to come before it ever was. So I'll give you some examples. Leonardo da Vinci. So this is so interesting. I haven't read as much as I should have about this man, but I've watched Da Vinci Codes. Sorry, is it Da Vinci Codes? No, Da Vinci Demons. That's the title of the series. So, yes, true. As there is fiction mixed with reality there, but I really do think that's a series that depicts the genius of this guy. Little facts about him or some facts about him. He was ambidextrous, so he could do the exact same thing he could do with his right hand and with his left hand. Like he didn't have a dominant hand. Both of them were equally as good. On that, I bet you that's a superpower. I only know one ambidextrous person. I only know one. His name is Benjamin. He broke his right hand, which is his right thumb, which is his writing hand, before an exam, and everybody was worried, how are you going to write? And then he was like, oh, no worries. And then he has the exact same handwriting with his left hand. Yeah, so that's like Da Vinci-esque. And besides being ambidextrous, he also was, as you know, a proper artist, right? And in all his art, unlike Picasso or Michelangelo, he was scientific with it. He was a scientist artist. Thanks to him, not to the Wright brothers, those ones just pilfered his work. Well, I won't call it pilfered, they developed his work, right? Whatever makes everybody sleep at night. But that's not the point. I don't think they stole the work. It's science, it's development. So he had the first ever sketches of an automobile that could fly. He was instrumental in inventing blood transfusion. He man, I feel like there is almost no piece of technology that we use in our day that Da Vinci was not involved with its creating. He was such a profound human being, right? And then, he could paint a little, just a little. Shout out to the Mona Lisa, shout out to the Last Supper. That was such a beautiful painting. It is such a beautiful painting. I think it took him 17 years to do the Last Supper, if memory serves me correctly. You should Google, just in case, right? And if I'm wrong, probably hit me up and say, "Oh, I checked it out and it was wrong." But that's not the point. Now, this is a defensive midfielder. This is this is Hawkeye vibes. And then there's somebody a bit more recent that you probably be able to relate with. His name is Steve Jobs. Yeah. This guy was one crazy person. Man, I think I don't know how to describe someone that's equally as mad as he is a genius. I don't say mad genius because that gives you Frankenstein vibes. This guy, in my opinion, was just a lunatic because in his mind, impossible things were possible. Like when he wanted something, he got it at all costs. And although his methods earlier on in his career were pretty weird, I think I remember the story when they were for the first launch of the Macintosh, the first Mac, and he wanted it to say hello. He wanted the computer to say hello. So nobody had done that before. But he had, the best engineers, programmers, those guys. And they were like, we don't have enough time. This thing is shipping in 2 weeks. We don't have enough time. We need at least, a month or something like that. Should I give you me time? I was like, oh, sorry. The event's already scheduled, 2 weeks. And he was the kind of boss that just fired people that would say they couldn't do it. I don't know. He was quite visionary. I mean, there's so much to say about this guy. From the Think Different campaign, to ubiquitizing English, making computers, for lay people in a sense, destroying IBM, giving an eternal problem to Microsoft, creating music platforms essentially, with iTunes, the iPod. This guy is just, he's next level. And then to the guy that I refer to as a probably bored genius. I don't know what goes on in his mind, but you probably have heard of Tesla before. Yeah, speaking about Elon Musk. I'm sure he must have, or he should be recovering from the jitters that threats gave him. But yeah, another profound man. I say bored genius because I'm like, at this point, I don't think he's just trying things that does it. Yeah, like I appreciate his work ethic and his ingenuity. But I don't know, like you can't create human beings now. Like, I'm sorry, this is not even about me being old fashioned. If if God created us and we went south, or we can go south, or we have had tendencies to go south, how will the people in the south be able to make anything outside it, or that anything that won't go even more south? Please, I'm from southern Nigeria. We are good people on these ends, but I hope you get what I mean. Anyways, the point is, to be anything great or be any more valuable than you are now, you must be able to tweak your angle of elevation. You must be able to adjust your line of sight. You should be able to swivel from worm's eye view to bird's eye view to hawk eye view. And then you must understand the craft. Yeah. What is the craft? Well, this is your ability to step outside your comfort zone, to do things and interact with situations that are not typical for you. I genuinely believe the path of activities and association is easier. To be anything, guy, go out and try stuff. Man, you play too much game. You have played FIFA, you have been playing that same FIFA for the past 2 years. Do something else. Go out, go and engage with clay. Try pottery. I promise you, it's very nice. You should probably watch people that, make pots or crockery. Is it crockery? No, I think it's crockery. Longley. Anyways, guy, go and shoot stuff. Go to the, gun range or something. Or actually, that would be, in my opinion, less interesting than trying out archery. Aim at something. Take it, shoot it. Finally, let one shot that you have shot in this your life. Let it work. You take up boxing. If you've never fought in your life before, go and bounce around the ring, get some jabs, give some jabs. Try ballroom dancing. Now, this one, oh my lord. If you know where I can do this one, please. And if you want to be my partner, you could, just send us a DM at the Glide Podcast, at the Glide Pod, and we would love to do this. I don't know if any of you ever watched Strictly Come Dancing. Oh my, I loved that show. Do we learned the pasadoble or the salsa, all that dance they have again. Those are my favorite ones, I think, so that's why I remember them. Or something trot. I forget. But yeah, try that. Try things that are weird to you. Try things that typical Nigerians don't do, Don't go around every day, you're playing football, you can't play. Playing table tennis, you can't play. Well, try those if they're outside of your comfort zone as well. But point is, try stuff. Okay, now, yes, that has been noted, right? You understand what I'm saying. Now, also talk to people. Oh God in heaven. Talk to people. I can't emphasize this enough because, man, people are living depositories. Regardless of how old they are or where they're from, it's crazy how much you can learn listening to a 5-year-old. How much you can learn listening to your peer from an entirely different country or city. How much you can learn listening to your grandpa. Just talk to people. Go out to places intending to interact. Right? You help your life. I promise you. You help your life. It helps you with wisdom. It helps you with wealth. It helps you save yourself from a lot of wahala. Like sometimes just ask questions. The reason why now you did not know it was one way is because you refused to ask. The reason why you're lost is you refused to ask for direction. We have talked about this before. Talk, man. Exposure is the key. Exposure is the key. This is the craft. This is the craft. Now, starting from scratch, especially if you are introverted, as they would call you, it can be hard. So poco a poco, baby steps. I didn't say go outside now, start dragging everybody's shirt, you must talk to me. Baby steps. And you might not also be the one that's always initiating conversation. This is not a call to be talkative. Not that being talkative is inherently wrong, but you should know when to shut up. Yeah. I'm sorry, I feel like I just shaded myself. Well, that was quite the rant. Let me try to speak a bit more plainly. So this is what I've been trying to say. We all wear glasses. I mean, even if yours has no frame, I tell you, your lenses are quite conspicuous. Even you want a contact lens. Even you. Now, although we are all born tabula rasa, we grow to have different biases and perspectives to life. And so, effort must be made to be able to see things objectively. My guys, you must know how to view things, how to perceive people and situations. You must learn to properly see. Wow. You see why I should be grateful for me. Here I am. a proper optometrist with a total of 0 degrees, teaching you how to get the best out of your eyes. I mean, come on, it's free consultation, isn't it? Well, talking about degrees, I think they can be quite misleading. Don't get me wrong. Kids, please stay in school. I'm just saying